One. Hello to our 7 viewers. My name is Vicente Cruz, Event and Fundraising Coordinator for the Oakland Greens, and we are here at the December Public Monthly General Meeting. We'll go ahead and start out that we want to reach out to anyone who may be suffering from any mental stress over the holidays. I know the holidays are very, very tough for me for several reasons. And on top of the fact that we live constantly in a state of being on stolen land where the foundation of our system is corrupt to the core, and trying to navigate it is super, super difficult and enough to raise your blood pressure. So we acknowledge that happen all the time. And I'm going to go ahead and start with our agenda review. Everyone here does know one another, so we don't need introductions. So we have the first one would be the State California Green Party of California's General Assembly report back, discussing the next one on the agenda, in-person events for 2022. Then we have, do you know these candidates for which we who we would endorse and who we wouldn't, and also then most likely trying to divide and Google these people, and which a lot of them we do kind of have some sort of idea. Anyway, for city councils. After that, it is the Defend OUSD struggle within what's going on for Oakland Unified School District. Excuse me, we still, I don't even know if this one, if we decided yes or no, but then there's the, where we go about trying to actually register 3 new members when we're doing our outreach. Treasury report back, which has good news, social media, outreach, green merchandise, and then announcements at the end. I'm pretty sure we don't, but is there anything else that we want to add to the agenda? And seeing none, let's go ahead with our beginning for the Oakland Greens report back from the State General Assembly. Has anyone given any other thoughts of things we didn't talk about, like at the party, the holiday party, or anything else? Anyone want to get it started?
I'll start.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Michael.
I had a conversation with Rick Greenblatt from San Diego, and he and I shared a similar, not totally negative, but some problems with the General Assembly. The most important one, I think, was the fact that the committee structure, you know, the working groups and committees structure did not produce something that was very important. And he and I were both annoyed that the state steering committee did not step in to fill that gap. And that is the question of the elections next year. And we think that there should have been a lively discussion about the elections that are coming up on the state level, candidates possibly, and related to that is party building. What can the state organization do for party building? And none of that occurred, unfortunately, at the General Assembly, and both of us were unhappy about that. Over.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything to add right off the bat? Seeing none, I'll go to myself then. Well, first I would start out with a question. Do you think that the reason that didn't happen is because of all the other tension of the internal struggle that is going on in the state party?
If you're asking me, no.
Okay, I'm asking everyone, but you would say no. And anyone else have any thoughts on that particular question? And no one has to either.
I think around with your question, I just think that it's just a newer generation, and a lot of stuff that was under the closet or in wherever you want to say it now is out to light. I think people knew who was the left wing, the white wings of the Green Party. They knew who was getting money, who's not getting money. Now it's to the forefront, and it's another generation that asks those questions. Nobody don't want to take the blame. So I think the better solution is seeing where they're going wrong at and plug in where we can put resources at and stay out of their politics, I think it'll move forward. Because they have a lot of personal issues. That's just my assessment.
Greg, I saw your hand next, please.
Yeah, I'd say that there are a couple of factors involved. One is that I think that the various active Greens and the active county Green parties don't really understand how the agenda items for the state meetings are set. If you want to do the formal process, any county Green party or any working group or committee can submit agenda items for the state meeting. If you want to do it informally, you can talk to anybody who's involved in the state agenda committee or any other active committee that's going to be submitting agenda items. So whether you do it formally or informally, I think simply because people don't understand or don't take initiative to give the input, then those specific things don't happen. And I would also say, yeah, that there's no question that all of the internal difficulties are having a huge toll on people that organize state meetings, because they're having to put into place all kinds of contingencies. You got to say, well, you know, if they're going to try to sabotage the agenda, which, you know, it took an hour, it took a full hour to set the agenda, then there has to be all these contingencies for how to deal with that, as well as for the different agenda items. We had to take how many different votes? I mean, you know, so yeah, there's no question that it takes up a huge amount. You know, I've only recently gotten back on the state coordinating committee after an absence for about 15 years or something. And so I was able to witness from behind the scenes exactly how draining the whole thing is. And this particular meeting was especially draining because of all the anticipated problems, which many of which came to be, as you know, came to be. So between those two things, there's a lot of difficulty. But, you know, again, it doesn't have to mean that in the future that it has to be that way, especially if people that have proactive things, you know, get the information to the right people. Over.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Orlando, please.
Excellent. What the Zoom that we did, is they gonna share the video of that Zoom, or they not gonna share that link? You know, of the GA meeting?
They have not gotten back, the IT director has not gotten back to me even when I emailed and I've only emailed once, I haven't followed up, but I emailed the day after saying that I'm willing to drive to go and pick it up. And yeah, but I did not heard back. I imagine they probably don't want to give it to me, would be my first thought. Right. Oh, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. They don't want to give you what?
The video file of the General Assembly.
Oh, okay.
You know,
And you wanted that before?
Sorry, say again, please.
I was trying to find out that you had made a request for that or something.
I did. I emailed the IT
Oh,
or the account, the Zoom account holder, and you know, it was like, oh, I'll bring a flash drive and just upload it, and I have time. I can edit it and get all the dead space off and you know, stuff, and get it out there. And if nothing else, I wanted my pieces. I wanted that emotional breakdown, and I guess I'm calling on myself at this point now too, is that because I disagree a little bit, Orlando. I don't think it's in the closet. I think it's out in the light of how bad it was. And I also will pat Oakland on ourselves on the back too. That I think the only reason, because it took this long for it to happen. And I think that we were also kind of that push. I wanted to also, so I want to ask too, so the censure that happened, is that just for like one meeting? Is that forever? Like, so who knows? Greg, do you know the actual, what was the rule? What does it mean?
Which person are you talking about? I mean,
How many
That's
people
forever.
how many people were censored? There's only one, right? Was there
I
more
think-
than
I
one
think
person?
using the word censure, I believe that you're right. There's only one from Los Angeles. And I believe the period was 6 months, and there's some things that are supposed to be done in the 6-month period. And if they're not done, then, it will be extended until they're done.
I guess my next, but that is not necessarily public record, although it should be if it's not.
It's when the minutes get corrected, of the meeting when that was taken, then it'll be public.
Okay. And then, so my next thing would too, so even when we do our meetings, if there is an agenda item, we always, even the county, Alameda County here at Oakland, we say, oh, does anyone have any agenda items they want to add? Why couldn't we just do that at the state? Because I'm like really down with Michael too. There's a whole bunch of shit that we really need to discuss and debate respectfully about, why it is so much. And then I will also say, I feel the reason why a lot of the concerns that, like, again, I'm piggybacking on Michael doesn't get done is because people are just so overwhelmed. So it seems like it would still be wise that even on the state level, if someone says, oh, I have an agenda item I'd like to have, which may have made it not go along for an hour, because at least the people who are feeling like they're not going to get heard could say, oh, I want to add an agenda item that we talk about this for 20 minutes, and then you just stick to that time frame. But I guess that would require a bylaws change, be my first. Is that correct?
Well, the
No, Michael says
the
no.
General Assembly, well, the General Assembly that is present is the final word on approving the agenda.
That's right.
So, yeah, if you want to make a different process, then it's a bylaws change. But right now, the delegates who show up to the meeting are the ones who determine the final agenda.
Sorry, so if a delegate and one was seconded at the GA we just had and said, I wanted to add, like Michael even mentioned a couple of months ago, discussing more about moving the party towards eco-socialism as a party whole, could have been added to the agenda?
Oh, it's possible that, if at the last moment people felt it was urgent enough to talk about it and also figure out, where the time would come from. But obviously, it's better to submit something earlier. So that's all.
So again, for the 7 that'll watch this, going to plug our linguistics town hall. Time is just a constant. It doesn't come or go, right? You can't make more time. You just either add time and you go, okay, well, we're just going to, instead of, the meeting going for this long, it's going to go this long. But one, you take that out of, oh, we don't have to debate for an hour on getting the agenda passed. Anyway, I'm kind of over that stuff too. And then my report, again, my only other report back too would be, it should have came out a long time ago. I'm glad that actually the censure happened. I'm glad it wasn't forever. And I said this, I think at the party, but getting it on record. So I was in contact with someone about trying to do this, again, fundraising actual debate format that I want to try for the Oakland Greens, and still haven't heard back. What? Surprise, surprise. Even after getting a semi-verbal agreement. But I'm sure that when they took it back to the group, they're like, no. And my actual like quote debate to them was like, oh, I know why, no one wants to do it, because they know, one, that I would wipe the floor with them in a real debate with a judge. They don't want to come and play that card, right? Everyone has seen me argue. And also has, whether they want to admit it or not, like Oakland Greens get stalked like crazy because I get the analytics of how many, hits we get and all this different shit. So it's like, I know some people are paying attention to what's going on, right? So, but yeah, which is also the reason why I don't think I was going to get, it's going to be more of a fight to get that video. But so yeah. Anyway, that's mine. Anything else on the GA? And seeing none. The next one is in-person events. Of course, I will start that too as the producer. And I'm actually thinking that we should go with an option of cancel January, like wait till May and see what happens. The Saturday Night Live canceling actually really kind of triggered me. I was like, whoa, again, we talk about a capitalist country. They're not going to fuck off all that advertising money, right? And if for them to do that, it must, be pretty serious. So that would be my first thought. Or I don't know, from an actual professional standpoint, like, oh, we're just canceling the whole year and trying to start up again. I think that other people that I respect in the business inside of, my family businesses would say that if you canceled it 2 years in a row, it's kind of like killing it for good almost. So my first suggestion is try and start May. And I see Michael's hand. Please go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to report that I had a discussion with Chris at the holiday party about this. And I actually invited Chris to be on tonight, but apparently Sunday nights are hard for her. So anyway, the gist of this is Chris is very much in favor of going back to in-person events. I wanted to say that. She really enjoys the energy that we bring to the place, and the holiday party went off pretty well, I thought. There were about 20 or so people there, and I was impressed with that. On the other hand, I was having a discussion with Jan over dinner, and Jan is reluctant to go back to in-person because of the Omicron variant, and also the worst part of the winter is not a good time to because of the weather and driving in pouring rain and stuff like that, and it's also you're driving in the dark, to come to a meeting at this time of night, at this time of the year, and will be for another month, but 2 or 3 months, and then it'll gradually get lighter. It's when we meet at 6:30. But so Jan is in favor of postponing this. But I'm glad that we're discussing it. I mean, that's the important thing is to get some kind of collective position over.
And Bill, please go ahead.
I think it's good to discuss it now, but it doesn't mean that we have to make a final decision now. And I think it would be important to see both in terms of the general presence of the new variant in the next month or so, combined with the effects of the holidays and the tendency for people to be in more crowded situations and what comes out of that. So I think the idea of having May on the table is a good tentative goal, and it can be evaluated in the next month or so as to whether that's the way to go. But it gives us some frame to look forward to. I'll stop there.
Right. I see your hand again, Michael. And
Yeah, I just wanted to respond directly to what Bill said. It's what he said is fine, but The important thing is to notify Chris. Chris has to be kept in the loop. Whatever we decide. Someone should be assigned to contact contact Chris and talk to her.
That's always me, Michael. You know that. You don't
Well,
have.
I've done it too, actually. But
Yeah, for the county. Yeah, yeah. But no, I set up all the movie nights and things, and definitely and in contact, and will continue as well. Orlando.
I agree with everyone. Like I say, I'm unvaccinated. I work for the county. I see the data and the numbers. And the reason why I personally haven't been going out, not because I'm fear of the virus or whatnot, it's just a lot of unknown people who have their health is really not up to par. So we learning that it ain't who got the vaccination or whatever the case may be. How can you really be safe when you really don't know? So that'd be my best advice. I'd rather do Zoom. I have a wife that has a weak immune system. And if I go get a cold or whatever, she gets sick. So that's why I've been more in the house, and my grandchildren also. So I'm just thinking safety until we get enough data to say it's safe. But to sum it up, they saying by March, they said when the weather get hot, this supposed to be the week they supposed to test the guy or whoever got the case. They knowing that San Francisco, and in Alameda County got the highest rates. They know Marin County got a higher rate also. So within those 3 counties, San Francisco area, what can we do? But I'm in.
Right, I'm calling myself and then Greg right after. That is what my relatives in the medical industry are saying as well, that we will have a really better assessment on how contagious and reliable the information is about being more contagious but less deadly. Like it is, like this one, you could, as my relatives say, you could actually classify it as just like a very bad flu. But still, if a third of the population of the whole country goes down with the flu at the same time, all of a sudden, again, you talk about supply chain issues, that could be. I also agree that we can, especially with well, here's some things. I think that we could do in person because it's just us 6 here, and I could still do it on Zoom on a laptop for Orlando, but whereas we could meet just us and be masked or social distanced as well at there alone. And even though it's a public meeting, I could still make it so that that people would have to register and buy a ticket and then limit capacity ahead of time. And then we still have Zoom. I think we're fine to do outdoor events. Once I actually I'm going to have to actually, I think I'm going to go down personally and talk to the libraries and the farmers market for 2022. We wouldn't go out if it's raining, again, just because, again, for weather and things like that, or if it was too cold. Also, something that Dale pointed out was that the first Saturday is actually New Year's Day. So we should actually start the second Saturday of January instead of the first, if the weather permitting. So I think the outdoor with masking events, I think would be fine. As far as movie nights, I was going to do tickets anyway. Again, because of the pandemic, we could even, drop limited down to, and not even to 20, we could drop it down to 10, which really just leaves like 4 tickets for people to come. But yeah, I think there's also ways around it. And I also agree with Bill, we could still put it up. It's easy. It's not, nobody has to buy tickets. It's all donation based. So if someone actually does put money, I can easily refund it. And then we could look at the first movie night, do it month by month. So especially since the movie nights are the last Sunday of the month, our meeting is the 3rd Sunday of the month. So we could decide like January at the January meeting, decide if we're going to, do the January movie night, March, and so on if people agree. Over, and Greg, you were the next in the queue.
I don't know. I was kind of favoring what Michael said, that it might be better to wait until most of the rain and cold is over, like, check it out in February and decide whether March would be a good time to start. But I'm a little confused. Okay, so we have these meetings on the 3rd Saturday and the movie nights on the 4th, but you said something about the 1st Saturday?
Well, we're starting in January, we're starting our tabling.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah,
Exactly.
gotcha. Okay.
Right. Every Saturday, we're going to do either farmers markets or one of the libraries, the Grand Lake Farmers Market or one of the libraries. But the first Saturday this year is actually New Year's Day. So yeah, no, not probably a good time to do it. So yeah, if everyone is in agreement with that, I will just tell Chris that we would like to start up actually as April would be our first, and we'll just, reassess each month after, before that.
Okay.
That's everybody okay with that?
I am.
All right. Okay.
Fine.
Anything else on the in-person event? Oh, and also let me ask you, and everybody's comfortable with doing the outdoor events though, weather permitting, right? We're still okay with, yeah, and masks and stuff. Yeah, I think that's fine. Anything else on the in-person events? Any questions? And not seeing any. Now we have the next also discussion item. I'm kind of actually like this one about do you know these candidates? Greg, you put this one up. Would you like to start us off, please?
Yeah, I'd like to start off first by mentioning that a friend told me that Ignacio de la Fuente, former city council member, has just announced that he's going to throw his hat in too. So
For mayor?
Wait, for
Yeah.
mayor?
yeah. So it's going to be a real circus. As you can see,
Wow.
there's already three sitting council members and other former elected people all running for mayor, as well as other people. And just before the meeting started, I actually found an article on Oakland side. I don't know if you all have been to oaklandside.org. It's started up a year ago after, Berkeley side had been publishing for many years. Anyway, so we probably know over half of these people, and I don't think hardly any of them are going to be that exciting to us, but it's just good to know the lay of the land. For mayor, it looks like City Council member Sheng Tao is going to have a very strong campaign. She's already got the Labor Council and other labor unions backing her. And I kind of feel that this guy, Derek Johnson, who ran against Rebecca Kaplan 2 years ago, he got tons and tons of money from all kinds of business interests, etc. So if he's able to round up all that money again, he'll probably be the contender on the opposite side.
No.
And then of course, some of the other sitting council members, Lauren Taylor, maybe Trevor Reed, will get some support. But right now, I think I'm guessing that Sheng Tao and Derek Johnson will probably be leading contenders. And there's some other interesting candidates. This Alyssa Victory Villanueva. She works for the ACLU and she represents the CWA, the communication workers. So I think that's it for mayor. Then we can talk about the others.
Hey, and I see Michael with the hand up first. Go ahead, please.
Yes, it just by coincidence, at Friday at the press conference announcing the campaign against the cuts in the Oakland U.S. Unified School District budget, Greg Hodge was actually there, and I think he even said a few words. And he's that family has been a long time political family, and I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. But the fact that he showed up at the anti-cuts rally might win him a few brownie points over.
Thank you. And Bill, you are next, please.
Well, yeah, let me, actually, I can show myself again. Yeah, I actually think that the forces around the current mayor will go with Lauren Taylor, and who's positioning himself as the law and order candidate. And Chantal is already sort of mobilizing the Bonta apparatus. In fact, interestingly, I think the whole statewide, quote unquote, liberal wing of the Democratic Party will come in for her. So not only will there be Labor, but there are already a number of big names, Rondon and others, who are supporting her. I know Ignacio is thinking about this, and others, but I think it'll come down to a relatively few people. One person that some of us know, and I don't know how serious he is, but he claims he's running, is a longtime left labor activist, John Ryman. And and he's put out a couple emails about why he's running for mayor. Ms. Reed might draw some attention, but I really think it'll come down to the two of them. I'm not saying that's our only choice, but in terms of the real power dynamics and the way the political blocks in the city have emerged, I think that will I mean, we could go down some of the particular names. As you said, there are people who have some interesting background in this, but I'm not sure right now is the time to do that. It's, just to be aware, who's in the field.
Thanks. It is well. So I see you, Greg. Greg.
That's okay, that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, hand was up, calling on myself and then Greg in queue. And I think it's a good time to just go ahead and insert a joke in here too. Which one of you trifling people just burped on camera? Did I just hear somebody gas on camera? Did I? I did, didn't I? I saw one of you. I'm going to still sound like the radical, and any of the candidates, if they're not green, I don't think that we endorse anyone, and we use it, and I know the county does, and the county's going to. But I think here in Oakland, I think we don't. And then when especially if we're going to commit, fuck it, especially since I'm going to commit to going out every Saturday, I think know that I'm going to use that opportunity to, again, trying to party build locally. And, we need your time more than your money to actually elect people before profit candidates, and we would want them to be green. So that's what I hope we would take. And yes, all of those candidates, like for mayor, even if I was of the mindset that, if they were left enough, just because I wouldn't only get them, that they were part of the Republicrats. I don't like any of them politically. I wouldn't want any of them as my mayor, council member, or anything else for that matter too. Again, because even in this conversation, we started out with, if they can raise all that money, then it must be okay. Really? Because I'm pretty sure that, and how do we even say it in Oakland? We don't say that, just a capitalism. We say, trying to navigate this corrupt capitalist system, right? I don't think we should. I mean, of course, I will always go with the group, and then I can always speak for myself. But I don't think that Oakland, we should endorse any of these candidates and take the opportunity to really shout from the mountaintop why. And I am over. Greg, you are next, and then I see Orlando's hand after.
Okay, one quick comment about John Ryman that Bill mentioned. I read one of his emails, and he says that he's not planning to raise or spend more than $2,000, which is, you know, the at $2,000, and you're required to file all the paperwork. So he plans to stay under $2,000, so he doesn't have to file the financial paperwork. Of course, that means that he's going to have difficulty reaching a lot of people, but whatever.
Orlando, please.
Yeah, I agree with you too, Vicente. I just think that this go around, I know on the county council we do, but at least let them respect us and let's see what they can do that can bring more people to our party. You know, how can we negotiate? Even though I know Greg Hodges is gonna run, all the candidates was running, already talked to him already. But the bottom line is, we know it's about money. We know an Uber and Lyft is gonna put all that money into Derek Johnson. Derek Johnson is gonna split the black votes in the churches because they're gonna pay people to work on their campaign. We understand that, but as Greens, what can we get out of this to make us move forward and not them use us in the media prop? Hey, we got the Greens to support us, and we don't even know them. They don't never come to a number of our meetings. They never put none of our informations out. When they have debates, we got to fight to get through the doors. And we don't know Lanice Jones and the Four Horsemen. How can we move forward? So I just don't want to be used. Just tell them don't use us. Put some respect on our name. That's all I ask.
Thank you. And Michael, you're next in queue.
Well, I just wanted to respond to a couple of things. One of them is money should not be a part of our consideration at all. I'd rather vote for somebody who can't or won't raise money if he's got the right political ideas, and that's me. But I object to voting for the most liberal name who can raise money. I'm not going to do. I don't do that personally, and I'm opposed to our party doing it politically. That's second. Second thing is, we have not yet discussed whether or not we can find a Green Party candidate for mayor. I do not, I don't have a name to suggest, but I think that we should try and beat the bushes and see if we can find a person who actually is committed to building our party to run for mayor. And I'm not going to make any decisions about candidates until we know whether that possibility is not happening. Over.
I see Bill in queue next, please.
Just a very quick comment. I think it would be good if we can get a candidate, and we should be looking, but I don't think we should make a goal of having a candidate just for the sake of having a candidate. I think if we have somebody who has a track record, especially in mass movements, somebody who has a record in the city, and we should perhaps, not right now, but as we've done in the past, think of some of the criteria. Obviously, a person of color would be a major factor. All those things. And if we find someone, great, but I think it could be problematic if we just say, well, the next Audie Bach is, around the corner. So anyway, that's my thought.
Right. And I would love to have a candidate. I can think of some, but I wouldn't suggest them because I don't have the energy to actually reach out and I guess do a little bit of salt. I did actually, one of the names I would think of, I think that actually would have a shot because they already have like a huge backing, swore that they would never run and like their parents had been, and and I guess there could be something to say that they are like surviving in this particular system. But anyway, I wish they would. But actually, I also believe and this is more for YouTube and things like that too, that the people that we would ask and that say no, those are really the people that would make the best candidates, right? Or at least be the best elected official. Usually it's the people who don't want to run, those narcissists and egomaniacs that like think that, oh, I am, their own Superman complex. Are usually what gets us into trouble a lot of times. I mean, there has to be a little bit of that ego and bravado, but yeah, I think over the end, I also agree with Bill that doing just candidates for candidates is not a good idea. I will say that I will add that when we're out tabling, which is something else that I have been shouting, I did it at the 2 times that we did the monologue at Diamond Park when people were walking by. I fucking get them like, someone. They probably don't want to run, but someone that you trust that has like, they don't believe in like this capitalist bullshit system. They're really intelligent and you think they'd make a good elected official. Like you need to ask them to run and you need to work on their campaigns and we want you to be in the Green Party. So using that as a talking point as well. And unapologetically. And I've also said it too, like a lot of times, especially when we were out in the years past, those 3 years we did it, I really felt kind of muzzled as far as sometimes allowing myself to release my inner mother, as it were. And I have no fucking qualms about doing that in the future, especially since I'm giving up all of my Saturdays. And I still suspect that it'll be the same group of 3 people that are out every Saturday. So I'm not holding back. And plus, we're just in a state of too much of an emergency. It's just horrible. Even the social last night, I'm like, oh my gosh, if we say it, it's hard to witness on a regular basis. So that's where I'm at and over. And then Michael, you are next in queue, please.
Well, I want to say 2 things. One of them is I disagree with Bill. I think that it's better to have a candidate that has no chance of winning, but it gets our name out. I'm 100% in favor of that because I think it contributes to party building. Whereas endorsing people who are not Greens does not, in my opinion, contribute to party building. That's first thing. And the second thing is I think that we should put out something on our website soliciting candidates. That we've done that in the past. I think we should do that again and do it soon because it's the list is already beginning to fill up. And so I think that something should go on the website very, very soon. Over.
Hold on, Bill, I know you're next in queue. If I can direct response. I am 99% sure, Michael, that there's always something on the website about that we are recruiting candidates. So that is always out there.
Okay.
And I think also on our social media, because again, watching the analytics, we definitely get our name out there more than just a candidate for candidate's sake would do or does. And I add, again, direct response is the reason that I concurred with Bill is because one of the things that we got, and I think we heard it when we were at Grand Lakes Farmers Market too, is that people don't like that just running candidates for candidate's sake, just like as opposed to that. I think we're going to do more about party building and getting our name out there than, again, just a candidate that may want to build the Green Party, but just has no ground game or any support. Over. Bill, please, you're next.
Just a very quick response to what Mike said. I wasn't advocating that the number one criteria, or even one of the top criteria, is whether the person is likely to win or even come close to that. I mean, that would be nice if it was the case. My criteria are: 1, if the person has some kind of track record in terms of mass movements, and number 2, if the person understands what it means to be a candidate. And unless we're saying we just want somebody who's willing to put their face out there. And I don't think that's a good way to proceed. So those are the 2 criteria, not whether the person is likely to win or not.
Greg is next in queue, please.
Okay, well, the website that I checked, and actually both the Oakland side as well as the previous one, the East Bay Citizen, they did not list any school board candidates. And I'm glad Bill is here because maybe any of you who know the situation about the school board, is there, what is it? The coalition that we had last year, are they diligently now searching for school board candidates? Because I think, overall, the campaign for school board was relatively reasonable last time, but, unless they start finding good candidates very soon, it's going to be hard to have strong campaigns. So what's the latest on the school board situation?
Well, I'll just say, yes, we are in the process, and I don't have names right now, even though I've been attending the political involvement committee meetings. What I do know in terms of timeline is this feeling that we need to have names earlier than we did last year. So if you remember in 7, Coach Tapscott got in very late. And again, it's even when we come up with names, the question is, are the people willing to put in the time and energy, to do it? So I will try to keep people informed. Others may have heard other names. It's the evens, as you know, but we do hope to have in the next month or two to have names ready to go.
Thank you. And it's myself, Michael, then Orlando, and mine's actually a motion that we could have, if the public was here, we definitely would not remove anyone, but have a non-recorded session, and we actually do throw out some names. Anybody okay with that?
Sure. But there's a lot of names that will be missing because it's still pretty early.
Right. Okay. And then Jan and Michael, it's you, please.
Okay. What I want to say in answer to the question about the school board is Action 2020 is in somewhat decomposed because of the long absence of it. It hasn't really done much since the last election last year. And so that's one thing as of now. However, it is entirely possible that this campaign that's building against the cuts to the Oakland School Board budget will generate potential candidates. And it may do that, and it may also invigorate Action 2020. That remains to be seen. Over. Oops.
Sorry, dead space. Orlando, you are next, please.
Yeah, I was gonna add in, I just think in all fairness, I just think like you said, it's just building a party is good, but we know realistically, the election don't start till August anyway. So we can get anybody who throw their names in the hats in the ring. Then next thing you know, you get somebody just in hypothetically, Ron Dillon say he gonna run, or MC Hammer say he's gonna run. It changed the narrative. But I think as far as the Greens, I think more people, once the names go out, we're gonna always find a good candidate that's gonna run, because it's gonna always be somebody feel that they wanna, get their voice heard. But I think the problem is convincing people to not just be Greens just for the election and then turn back to Democrats after the election. So I just think it should be a criteria.
Agreed. Mika, please. Yes.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how what I keep hearing is the state's trying to take over the school system again, Oakland school system again, with that, what is that, state manager or whatever they had in there before, and how that's going to play out with the election.
Well, I'll just, as a direct response, that's going to be a point on our agenda as a more thorough discussion of what's going on in the schools.
Okay, thank you.
Right, and then we'll have 5 minutes. I'm going to have a closed Zoom session, and we will be back, 7 listeners right after. Thank you.